Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, all of you who have come here into this sacred space, this sanctuary, both in person here with us in this room, in these pews, and also remotely with us online. We're glad to be one community tied together through spirit and through song and through prayer. And it's especially meaningful that we all have times when we zoom into something because it's just easier. But I know that there are many people in our congregation who really just could not physically be here for various reasons. And so it's very special to be able to gather in this way. Welcome, everyone. I also want to make sure that we welcome Reverend Steve Davis from the St. John's UCC in Fullerton. He is here with his confirmation class, and we're lucky, as always, that Martina Obensky has done a stellar job orienting them to everything Jewish. The quiz will be later. There may be additional questions as you go on. That's okay. We're very glad to have you. We hope you enjoy your time with us. And I want to just invite all of us to sort of take a minute and take a breath. For us as Jews, this is the end of our week. It's the beginning of the Sabbath, a time away from time, a time to reflect, a time to celebrate, a time to laugh, a time to remember, a time to assess the week that has gone by with all its challenges, its changes, its demands, its joys, and to let it go for a moment, to enter into a spiritual space that this day invites, so that we might fill ourselves, we might find room within ourselves for the extra neshama, the extra soul that Shabbat grants to us. Now, many of you know that this Shabbat is sort of a special Shabbat. It's actually not actually a special Shabbat, but it's close to a holiday. So we have a very special, very fun, very raucous, and I would say irreverent holiday that's coming up tomorrow night into Sunday. And because we gather here on Shabbat and it's so close to the holiday of Purim, we're going to be doing a few Purim things tonight during our service. So the first thing that we're going to do to kind of get ourselves warmed up, both for Shabbat and for the weekend ahead, is to sing together our opening song, Chag Purim, which can be found on page 369.
זמירות פיקודים, אבן רישה רש רש רש, אבן רישה רש רש רש, אבן רישה רש רש רש, ברא השנים. We welcome Shabbat with the lighting of Shabbat candles and with the Kiddush and Moti, and it's my pleasure to call forward for those prayers
Rachel Kubelis, Patty Carlis, and Bob Black. Prior to the kindling of the Shabbat lights tonight, as we started last week, we light 2 extra candles, not regular Shabbat candles, but 2 extra blue candles in memory and in hope. We think of Dror Or, an Israeli who is being held hostage in Gaza. He's 48 years old. Before I light the candles, please join with me. Esa einai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esa einai el Me'ayin yavo Ezri, Ezri, Me'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim va'aretz, Ezri, Me'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim va'aretz. A prayer for the hostages and the released. A song of ascent. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian. Adonai is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. Adonai will guard your going and coming, now and forever. We now turn our attention to page 2 of your prayer book, page 2 of your Siddur, as Rachel prepares to light. Oh, excuse me. I gotta light these. Pardon me. Now we continue with the Shabbat candle blessings.
May the light of these Shabbat candles cause us all to see each other as part of our shared community. May the light of these Shabbat candles glow with our warm feelings for all the members of our congregation. May the light of these Shabbat candles help us to recognize the needs of others and show us the way to help them. May the light of these Shabbat candles help lift the spirits of ourselves and others. And in the glow of these Shabbat candles, may we bond together to become an even better, caring community. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The Kiddush can be found on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shalakasha v'yahava v'ratzon hinhilganu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikroei kodesh zecher l'siyat mitzrayim ki banu v'harta v'tanu kidashta mikohamim v'shavat kadshecha yachava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices join in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. B'teavon. So as Patty and Rachel and Bob enjoy some challah, which you can have some of later, we're going to take a moment, as we do here at KI, in our preparation for entering into Shabbat. We will take a moment to greet one another. So, you can turn to the person behind you and say hello, Shabbat Shalom, but you also can get up and cross the aisle and go meet somebody you haven't met before. And we don't mean 15 seconds, but we're going to take a little bit of time to meet and greet and try to meet someone you haven't met before, and then we'll join back together in a few moments.
And the elevator got stuck. So they were supposed to do and we were on stage. They couldn't get it. When it turned out first appear, she's like way up on her back. And there's like 3 standing. They couldn't. Yes. Thank goodness I saw the side. They offered all the people that had tickets a refund if they want to stay for the concert. Only 90 people took it. Going to pay $250 to see the second recently to see it. Because the set for the set got up went into the Saturday before. It was amazing. It's just like I know. I was like, my jaw was.
He was smoking on the stage.
Well, at the end, they have like gold snow coming down. It wasn't snow, but it was probably, you probably saw Marmalade. But it was gold like flakes that come down when they get married. Oh, really?
Friends, if we could come back together. Friends, if we could come back together and return to our seats. Hi, Brendan. We're going to continue in a moment. We're going to continue in a moment. Come on, class. If we could all return to our seats. We're going to continue in a moment on page 20. On page 20, we're going to sing with our choir, Lecha Dodi, led by David. Lecha Dodi, song with a lot of verses. We're not going to sing all the verses. We are going to sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. There we go. On the 9th verse, we are singing about the Sabbath queen or the Sabbath bride entering into our midst. It's a personification of the Sabbath day that we get from the Kabbalists. And so we welcome her into our midst as Mike in the back there is going to open the door to let her in. On the 9th verse, we'll rise and face the door and bow to her as she makes her way in. Let's join together. Page 20.
Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei b'nei shaban nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei b'nei shaban nekabela la la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei b'nei shaban nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei b'nei shaban nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmi'anu el ha'mayuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'liti la 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 la, L'chad odi likrat kala, b'nei b'nei shaban nekabela. B'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki himekor habaracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila la 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 la. L'chad odi likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, ki v'orei kumi ori, hori shidaberi, kavod Adonai alayik nigla la 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 la. L'chad odi likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am sagula. Boi chala, Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela la la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela dodi. Likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
You may turn around, but please remain standing. We'll continue with Baruch Hu on page 28. Lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach Leo. continue on page 30. Please join with me if you wish. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem, barakia kirtsono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, han-ma'ariv aravim. 33 at the bottom we read together. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam. You may be seated as we continue on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam bishivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiyot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem, amen. On page 39, we read responsively, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40.
Mi kamocha elim Adonai, mi kamocha neida b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. בחוצך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף פלא, נורא תהילות אוסף פלא. יה לי 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 לי, יה לי 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 לי, יה לי 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 יה לי לי לי, יה לי 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 יה לי לי לי.
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגיאלום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל. Page 42, we pray for protection as night falls.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו אלוהינו לשלום, השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו שלום מעתה ועד עולם.
In praise of the Sabbath day and its holiness, we join with the choir in the singing of Yismachu at the bottom of page 44.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונג, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונג. בקודשי שביעי כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך, והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת ישמחו במלכותך וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת ישמחו במלכותך וקורא עונג חמדת ימים אותו קראת זכה למעשה זכה למעשה בראשית חמדת ימים אותו קראת זכה למעשה זכה למעשה בראשית ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת ישמחו במלכותך וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת ישמחו במלכותך וקורא עונג.
In an envelope marked personal, God addressed me a letter. In an envelope marked personal, I have given my answer. We rise for the Amidah on page 46.
Anananananana Adonai Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ananananana Adonai Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ananananana Adonai Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem, Leman Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech noflim verofech olim umatir asurim umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umido melach Melech meimit umachayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelu Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Whoosh. You may be seated. Page 53 together at the top. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and that we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. We continue at the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who despair find purpose. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu b'amcha Yisrael, v'tfilatam b'ahava tegabel, v'tehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael, Amecha. El karov l'chol korav, pnei el avadecha v'chonenu, shafoch ruchacha aleinu, v'techazena einenu b'shuvcha l'tzion barachamim. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shchinato l'tzion. On page 58 are Amidah prayers, the prayers that are kind of the centerpiece of our worship service. Continue with the Hoda'ah prayer, the prayer of giving thanks. And we have a custom here at KI, instead of just saying the prayer, we kind of try to embody the prayer, try to live the prayer and show up for the prayer. So the first three words of this prayer are Modim Anachnu Lach. I know we have a lot of visitors, so I'm going to invite us to say that together. Modim Anachnu Lach, which means we give you thanks. And so rather than listing a bunch of things that are surely worthy of gratitude that are in our prayer book, I want to invite instead for each of you to bring to mind something for which you're grateful. Maybe it's something you're always thinking about when it comes to saying thank you and feeling gratitude. Maybe it's something you never really thought about as something worthy of acknowledgement, as a blessing in your life. Maybe it's even something that has seemed like the opposite of a blessing, but that there's a way to understand it that brings you a sense of gratitude. And I want everybody to kind of hold that in your mind. And then in a moment, I'm going to invite anybody who's here, whether you're a visitor, whether this is your first time at KI, whether you're here every week, whether you haven't been here in a while, if you'd like to share aloud with all of us the thing for which you're grateful. We'll ask each person to be brief, and when we hear the thing for which you're grateful for, we'll all respond with Modim Anachnu Lach. I always say, nobody could do this. If nobody spoke up, it would still be okay. So do not feel there's pressure to be like, oh my God, nobody's raising their hand. It's okay. This is just to serve you and your spirit in this community. Rachel.
As you know, I'm always grateful to my seniors, but today they let me explain about Purim. I forgot my grogger, but I had my new yad, and they let me sing the trope from the Book of Esther that I'm doing tomorrow night. So I practiced with them.
That's wonderful. I can hear how proud you are. Modim Anachnu Lach.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to provide shelter for 4 homeless families this coming week in partnership with Family Promise and Christ Lutheran Church.
Modim anachnu lach.
I'm grateful to get to work with a team of really supportive third grade teachers that help me with a lot of different things every day.
Modim anachnu lach.
I'm grateful I was able to spend Wednesday afternoon photographing Mario Andretti up at his house all day. And he remembered me from 42 years ago, the last time I did it.
Modim anachnu lach. That's amazing. Congratulations.
I'm grateful for my friends.
Modim anachnu lach.
Yes.
I'm grateful to be afforded the opportunities that I have here in this country to meet with people of other faiths and other religions and just to feel so welcome in your house, and I can't be thankful enough for that. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ray. Modim anachnu lach.
I'm grateful for Jesus.
Modim anachnu lach.
I'm grateful for Alex's patience and wonderful tutelage in our trope class.
Modim anachnu lach. It's awesome. It's where the action happens at KI. Shir.
Family.
Modim anachnu lach. So if you haven't shared anything aloud, or if you're at home and you weren't able to share it with the gathered folks, I want to invite you to just hold that thing in your mind that you were thinking of when I first started and say, hold it there, think of it, feel the gratitude as we say together, Modim anachnu lach. We pray silently.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael, Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael, Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. 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 Shalom Rav al Yisrael, Shalom Rav Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael, Shalom Rav Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל. בכל עת ובכל שעה. בכל עת ובכל שעה. בכל עת ובכל שעה. בשלומך. שלום. כי אתה הוא מלך השלום. שלום. כי אתה הוא מלך השלום. שלום. כי אתה הוא מלך השלום. שלום. כי אתה הוא מלך השלום.
Those of you who've been coming to services here at KI since October know that we take a moment in the middle of our worship to think of those in the land of Israel and Palestine who are in need of support, healing, compassion, peace. And I've been doing a little soul searching, and I have to apologize for something. So this poem that we've been reading every week, I was speaking with the author recently, and we were at a conference together, and I realized that I had made a change to the text without consulting the author. And as my tshuva to her, I'm sharing with you that this is a text that is amended. I really thought it was important to add the innocent victims amongst the Palestinian people. Those were not her words. And she may or may not agree with them, but it was not her original language, and I wanted to be forthright and honest with all of you. So if you feel inclined to continue to read that line as at the bottom of the first paragraph, I hope that you will, but please know that it does not represent the words of Rabbi Karen Kedar. We join together, peace, please. We gather together in faith and with hope to pray for peace and for the safety of the people of Israel and innocent victims among the Palestinian people. Help us, O Holy One, and protect us in our hour of need. Touch our hearts, lest they be hardened with despair. Guide our thoughts, lest they be overcome with fear. Bring healing to the wounded, strength to those in mourning, courage to those in fear, wisdom to those who lead. Yedid Nefesh, beloved one, reveal yourself and fill the world with your light. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Be quick, God of love, for the time has come. Have mercy upon us, eternal one of peace. I'd like to invite Alan Salinger forward. Alan is going to read for us tonight the list of people remaining in hostage in Gaza. And also, he's going to share a reflection that he found in preparation for this evening.
Abram Munder, Agam Berger, Alexander Labanov, Sasha Trufanov, Alexander Darsig, Almog Sarus, Almog Meyer John, Alon Ohel, Miriam Cooper, Hamid Baskila, Audrey Van Kozlov, Arbel Yehud, Ariel Bibas, Ariel Silvana, Avraham Mengistu, Avathan Or, Bar Abraham Cooperstein, Bipam Josie, Carmel Gat, Chaim Perry, Chen Yablanca, Daniel Peretz, Daniela Gilboa, David Cunio, Dolev Yahud, Daron Steinbrecher, Dror Or, Edan Alexander, Edan Yerushalami, Eitan Moore, Eitan Horn, Elad Katsir, Karina Ariev, Kafir Bibas, Lior Rudaev, Liri Bat Elbag, Matan Argrest, Matan Zagukauer, Maxim Hirkian, Michael Niesenbaum, Mohammed El Alatrash, Naama Bat Levi, and we'll come back to her in a moment, Nadav Chana, Papelwell, Nimrod Kohn, Noah Aragami, Oded Lifshitz, Ofer Calderon, Ohed Ben Ami, Ohed Halami, Omer Shem Tov, Omer Wenkert, Omer Nietra, Omi Miram, Or Levi, Ori Dan Nino, Oran Rado, Quad Al-Kadi, Ram Brasklavsky, Rami Gonen, Ran Benjamin, Sagua Dekel Chen, Segev Kalfan, Shiri Bibas, Shalomi Ziv, Ilya Ben Cohen, Ilya Sharabi, Elkana Bohel, Ilkam Liebman, Emily Damari, Evitar Ben David, Gadi Mosev, Galil Birman, Guy Gildoa Dali, Hamza Alziana, Hirsch Goldberg Poen, Hisham Said, Idan Shevti, Itzhak El Garat, Shlomo Mansour, Keith Siegel, Tal Shosham, Tamir Nimrod, Tashki Idan, Uriel Baruch, Yagiv Bashtab, Yair Horn, Yitzhak Gelenter, Yarden Bibas, Yorem Metzger, Yosef Ohana, Yosef Alziada, Ziv Behrman. Many years ago, Mary and I and our son Stephen had the good fortune of becoming participants in the Partnership 2000 sponsored by the Federation. And through them, we met several interesting and very good people from our participating community, Yoav. One of the couples is Lior and Nurit Levy, and Nurit posts wonderful things on her Facebook page, and this caught my eye just the other day. And so this is from a mother whose daughter has been taken. Elad Levi Shachar, the mother of Naomi Levi, writes a special column on the fight for her return. 161 days and nights since my Naama was kidnapped. Another week has passed, a week of longing and concern. Okay. All right. The mornings all start with the same suffering feeling, already unfortunately familiar. But every morning I decide anew to get up, go out to the day, and fight to get Naama back. I am a family doctor and continue to see my patients. This week, a patient came to me, and after the end of the meeting, when he stepped to the door, stopped for a moment, and turned to me and asked for forgiveness. I asked why, and so he answered me with tears flooding his eyes. I finished this week in prolonged reserves, in other words, the military, in Gaza, and didn't manage to return Na'ama to you. And after he left, I wiped my tears and booked the next patient, finished my shift, and on the next mission. And Na'ama, she's on her way to me, on her way home.
Thank you, Alan. We hope for their safe return soon. We hope for the healing of those who have returned and for the hearts of those who are in mourning, for those who are not able to be returned. And we link their names to the names of those in our KI community for whom we are praying for healing tonight. We think of Shayna Albert, Robert Alexander, Mac Beeson, Kitty Berger, Gershona Binyamina bat Sara Valevi, David Rachmiel ben Sara Valevi, Chaya Shana Dinka bat Esther Basha Yosef, Ellery Einstein, David Eiskowitz, Rivka Elka bat Root, Jacob Ellis, Marianne Gardosky, Francis Gentlecore, Jamie Gordon Rodriguez, Mikhail Gordon, Harav Rachel bat Fruma, Emily Hochstedler, Nick Jelinski, Diane Levine, David Levine, Monica Manella, Dionisio Mistich, Wilbur Nichols, Felice Price, Eric Rappaport, Shauli Rosenberg, Dr. Norm Sarachek, Susan Scarce, Rose Schlossberg, Carrie Silver, Peggy Stetner, Sam Ungerleiter, Shmuel Yisrael ben Chaim Esther, Ethel Zager, and Marcy Zolkos. I invite you to add any names to this list, the names of anyone for whom you're praying for healing tonight, whether you're a member of this community or just visiting for this evening.
Kate Brazina.
With hope for healing in our hearts, we join together in the singing of Misha Berach. The lyrics for Misha Berach can be found inside your insert, and we join together.
Avraham, Yitzhak veYaakov, Mishaberak imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power berach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel.
May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer. And bless us as well.
May we soon know a world of complete healing, of complete wholeness, of shalom.
Hi. Tonight, we begin the Shabbat in which we begin the book of Leviticus, Parshat Vayikra, which is the first parsha, the first portion of the book of Vayikra. Now, we have a lot of time to talk about all the very exciting and narratively happen in. And I promise you, we will have a Shabbat where we talk all about how to make different kinds of sacrifices and all that practical stuff that we all need in order to celebrate the next holiday and beyond. However, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that tomorrow night is Purim. And so I wanted to give you a little background about Purim. Some of it maybe some stuff that you know, some stuff that maybe you don't know. So my first question, because I know we have some visitors, can somebody quickly tell us, like, what happens in the Purim story? It comes from the book of Esther. So the whole book of Esther, we're going to read tomorrow night, and we're commanded to do so, or to listen to it, or we could read it or listen to it. But what happens in this story? It's different than other stories in the Bible. I mean, I could do it if you want. Yeah, okay, Charles.
Well, there's a king who dumps his wife, and yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dumps his wife. She doesn't like it, but disappears, and he needs a new queen, and runs a sort of beauty pageant kind of thing, and
Because that's the logical way to get a new wife, right? Yeah.
well, if you're the king, of course.
Yeah. It's good to be the king.
Right. And he chooses this woman named Esther, who happens to be Jewish. At the same time, there's all kinds of politics in his court, and there he has a counselor, a sort of prime minister, whose name is Haman.
Boo!
Yeah, right. This is like, yeah. This person has it out for the Jews in the community. There's all kinds of machinations about poisoning and plots and things like that. It's kind of melodramatic.
So actually, hold on. Melodramatic is precisely the word, and we're going to talk about that in a second. That was awesome.
Right. Well, it's very melodramatic. And Esther, who has a cousin.
Sort of her uncle, like an older cousin. It's not clear.
Named Mordecai, who eventually is sort of the hero of the story and reveals to the king, yes? Yeah. Reveals to the king that there's this plot against him. This is very much
quick and dirty.
Quick and dirty. Yeah. There's a plot against him, and that Haman was really out to kill all the Jews and take over and poison the king. So the king realizes that Haman is a very, very bad man, and they eventually put Haman in the gallows, and in the stuff you don't learn in religious school, they also slaughter his entire family.
Excellent. Yeah, what about Esther, Lynn? You forgot about Esther. It's a major, major figure in the story. There's a lot to go over, and that was quick and dirty. So congratulations, you did a very good job. Lynn, add for us.
Well, since I'm playing Esther tomorrow, so Esther, who is the new chosen queen, who happens to be Jewish, has the ear of the king and lets him know about this plot. And so she is able to convince him to, through a number of parties, apparently, that they go to, that the Jews need to be saved. And he saves them, along with destroying Haman and the rest of his people. Okay.
Thank you very much. So this is a story that we like to tell. I mean, it's a fun story. If you think of like different cultures throughout time that have had traditions of the carnival, or what's called the carnivalesque tradition. So like we all dress all goofy and sort of like get to sort of step outside of our regular selves on Halloween, or if you go to Mardi Gras, or if you're part of any kind of carnival tradition. It's actually a really important emotional valve for a community to have a time in which there's comedy, evil is vanquished in a way that you don't necessarily see in the world. It's a way to be able to let off some steam, especially in response to situations of difficulty. I want to read you a quote about how this carnivalesque tradition works. It's from B.M. Knox, and he's actually writing about the role of the carnivalesque in Greek culture. He says, comedy was the licensed clown of the Athenian democracy. In its proper place and time, its civic and religious duty was to release its audience from restraints and inhibitions. For an hour or two at the end of the day, comedy had license to turn the world upside down. Its plots defy reality, melodrama. They are all events so utterly impossible that their presentation on stage, which is what was happening in Greek society, constitutes no threat whatsoever to established institutions. The proper function of comedy was not to advise, but to be outrageous. It is the safety valve of the emotional pressures generated by life in the polis, life in society, and, like the reign of the Lord of Misrule in medieval England, or the freedom granted to slaves at the Roman Saturnalia, it offers a utopian vision of a revolution which serves to reinforce the solidity of the existing order. So, I think this is really fascinating. Purim gives us this opportunity to take those on high and to bring them low, and to bring those who are low and to bring them up on high. Men are encouraged, even in the most traditional of communities, to dress as women, which is usually forbidden. Women as men, men and women as any gender they're thinking about. And in addition, there's no threat to the community, right? It's a way to say, what could it look like if we did things this way? And one of the reasons I wanted to have an adult Purim, which we're having tomorrow night, is because one of the really great things about Purim, we lose it when we just have a carnival for kids, but one of the great things about Purim is we really are invited to use it as a platform for criticizing challenging events in our own day and in our own situation, which really does help us process and go through the things that we're struggling with as a society. It also allows us to kind of follow certain rules all year long because we know we're going to have this chance to step out of the norm. Now, one of the things that I know that Alex last year, who's our educational director, read the Megillah, read the story of Esther with the synagogue, with the congregation. And Alex shared something interesting with me. Alex said that they were surprised to find that there were a number of people in the community who really didn't know what happens in chapter 9 of the 10 chapters of the book of Esther. Does anyone want to tell us what happens in chapter 9? Because I think a lot of times we skip over it. And in thinking about contemporary challenges, I think it's important that we don't just skip over it, but consider it. What happens in chapter 9? And I'll read you a little just to help you out. What, you haven't memorized what happens in what chapter? You'd think I'd have it open. All right. Okay, so this is late in the story. The Jews have been saved. And, this is a terrible scourge of anti-Semitism that potentially happened to the Jewish people in Persia during this time period. It says, and this is the English, "And so on the 13th day of the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, when the king's command and decree were to be executed, the very day on which the enemies of the Jews had expected to get them in their power, the opposite happened. And the Jews got their enemies in their power. Throughout the provinces of King Ahasuerus, the Jews mustered in their cities, to attack those who sought their hurt. And no one could withstand them, for the fear of them had fallen upon all the peoples. Indeed, all the officials of the provinces, the satraps, the governors, and the king's stewards showed deference to the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai had fallen upon them. For Mordecai was now powerful in the royal palace, and his fame was spreading through all the provinces. The man Mordecai was growing ever more powerful, so the Jews struck at their enemies with the sword, slaying and destroying. They wreaked their will upon their enemies." Anyone remember this part? No? Yes? No? So, why do you think you don't remember that part? It's not pretty. It's not the story we teach when we teach this to our kids in our religious school. Yeah, well, it's also, it really represents a point of view from a certain time period. You know, one very interesting thing about Purim that I always thought was so fascinating is that, you know how in America, a lot of people think that our main holiday is Hanukkah? And why do people think that? Why? It's the same as one of their holidays, right? So, right, it's very popular. It happens around the same time as Christmas, which is a really important holiday for Christians. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but yeah. But it's not actually a very important holiday like in all of Jewish tradition. But I do think there's something very special about how Hanukkah lands for American Jews. Because the story of Hanukkah is about wrestling with the challenges of assimilation. That's what happens in the Hanukkah story, and it's the thing that we struggle with every day as American Jews and as the American Jewish community. That's nice, that's interesting, Rabbi, but what does that have to do with Purim? So I actually was reading about Hanukkah, and this was presented in the article, and the author pointed out that in the Middle Ages in Europe, the holiday that got everyone going, the Hanukkah of the Middle Ages in Europe was Purim. Linda, you're nodding. Why are you nodding? Aside from the fact that you could probably guess that.
Just because it was party time and time to let go, and that Hanukkah was not a significant holiday.
Well, it was party time. It was time to let go. But what was going on for Jews in medieval Europe? Yeah?
They were not having fun. Yeah. And I think it's also important to point out that the Christian community did not like Purim and tried very much to repress Purim celebrations.
Well, so if you're thinking about, you're living in Europe, and the people who are have the greatest threat to your family and your community are people that are going to come in and burn your village and kill your children and take apart your community. You really like a holiday where the Jews win the day. You really like a holiday where you get to make fun of those in power, because life is terrifying. Now, here's the thing.
That's part of our Bible. But as Reformed Jews, we know that the Bible isn't there just to tell us what is or what to do, but also to give us material with which to struggle and to grow. One of the challenges that the Jewish community around the world is facing right now is how we can authentically read the whole book of the Megillah, knowing that that kind of enemy against enemy back and forth is not working. It's not working in a very real way that is preventing peace and safety and an end to violence generation to generation. What is the moral response to chapter 9 in the face of October 7th? I'm not going to answer that for you tonight, but it's something that we're going to explore in Torah study tomorrow. And we're going to add something new to our chapter 9 experience during our Megillah reading that I hope will be some kind of a response to this challenging aspect of an early text which had resonance and meaning at a time that was very different than today. I hope that you come and join us for some of that further learning and that further growing. If you're not able to, make sure you read the whole Megillah. It's important to kind of know what's there, because you can't come to terms with something that's difficult unless you're willing to look at it. Shabbat Shalom. It's my pleasure at this time to call forward Larry Zelson, a member of our executive committee, to offer some greetings and announcements on behalf of Knesset Israel.
Good evening and Shabbat Shalom to everyone here in the sanctuary and all our friends online where I usually am. And welcome to our visitors. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to thank Karen and Carol and David, our choir, for leading us in beautiful music, and for Rabbi for giving us something to think about tonight, and for leading a meaningful and thoughtful service. I would just like to remind everyone of a few events and activities going on at KI. For a comprehensive list, you can check our website. As Rabbi mentioned, tomorrow morning is Torah study at 9:30. And you can also join her for her Thursday morning class at 10:30, both in the multi-purpose room. Please enter, if you're coming, please enter through the glass doors on 23rd Street. Tomorrow night is KI's Purim celebration, including a late dinner at 6:30 and Havdalah around 7. If you are coming after the meal, the Megillah reading will start at 7:10 and followed by the Purim spiel at about 8 o'clock. There's a lot going on tomorrow night, so that's just the highlights. Please come if you want the full experience. Friday night, April 26th, is our 11th annual Super Shabbat Seder. Sign-ups are now open on the website and in Let's Stay Connected. Seats are going fast, so sign up soon. Space is limited. Next Shabbat, if your birthday is in March, come to Friday night services for a rabbinic blessing and stay after for an ice cream treat. Then on Saturday next week, after Torah study, there will be Shabbat yoga. At the conclusion of tonight's service, please join us for our own Shabbat in the multi-purpose room, which I'm told also features ice cream. Ice cream is prominent in these announcements. Stay a while, catch up with friends, introduce yourself to someone you don't know or to someone you do know, and help create a sense of community that is KI. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you. A couple of rabbi prerogatives, I like to add little announcements. I learned today, thank you, Linda, about a blood drive in honor of and in support of Jacob Ellis, Wendy and Rossborn's grandson, who's very ill. There's a blood drive at Bethel on April 1st. Is that right? Okay, April 1st. So please look for information about that because we hope that as many of you as possible can participate. We also are excited that coming up is the Community Women's Seder. Even if you're not a woman, as long as you're cool with it being a Seder about women, we'd love to have you. Please check your emails to sign up. I would like to thank our wonderful choir and all of our volunteers who helped in leading our service tonight. Thank you so much. And we're going to continue our service on page 282 with Aleinu. It's my pleasure to call forward Mark and Nina Pinsley to open the Ark. Please rise, 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atid gedula le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'ratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, ve'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים מודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad.
You may be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth. Our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. We also call to mind the 6 million of our martyred brethren who perished in the Shoah, and all those who gave their lives in defense of Jewish ideals here in the United States, in Israel, and around the globe. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be a blessing. In a moment, I'm going to read the names of those for whom we're saying Kaddish tonight as a community. And if I share the name of someone for whom you're personally here to observe Kaddish for, I invite you to please rise so that we can acknowledge your loss and envelop you in our support. Please stand only if you're comfortable, obviously. We think of those whose families are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning. We remember Shirley Engelson and Lois Ratner. We link their names to the names of those whose yahrzeits occur this week. Edgar Alexander, Stephen Blumberg, Sidney Cohen, Goldie Coleman, Sadie Dennitz, Bess Ehrlich, Jacob Geist, Herman Goodman, Marlene Levitt, Harry Milner, Richard Nolte, Etta Nussbaum, Isabel Phillip, Stella Phillip, Larry Rafes, Selma Rosenthal, Jerry Salinger, Joseph Savitz, Peter Sokalski, Teresa Somak, and David Zelson. Do you have any name? If you have any names to add to this list, please feel free to do so as my hand makes its way across your area of the sanctuary. Zichronam livracha, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Together as one congregation, we rise in praise of God's name with the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, B'alma divrach Yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'l'olmei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel and all the world, and comfort to all who are bereaved. As together we say, Amen. You may be seated. Before our very seasonal closing song, with my teaching about chapter 9 still in mind, I did want to also make another announcement, and that is that not this next week, but April 5th, is it April 5th? We're beginning the process of at least once a month reading Torah during our Friday evening services. So if you come April 5th, we'll pull out the Torah, we'll read it. If you'd like a part in that service, and I don't mean reading, although, if you want to read, you talk to me about it too. But if you want to do the blessing, if you want to lift the Torah, if you want to bind it, we have a lot of extra roles. And Patty Carlis is the one in charge of finding all of those parts. So if you've always wanted to get up close and personal with the Torah, this is your chance to, your next chance, not your only chance. And I hope you'll make a point of being there so that we can share Torah in our community. We are going to be singing our closing song, which can be found in your packet. It's called Haman, a wicked, wicked man. Abridged for your convenience.
Oh, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and Haman was his name, sir. He lied and lied about the Jews, though they were not to blame, sir. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Nashon Hamantashen. When Esther speaking to the king of Haman's plot made mention, said he, oh no, he won't. I'll spoil his bad intention. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh,
We rise for our closing benediction. Source of blessing, source of peace, Adonai HaShalom. Help us to walk a path of peace, to make the peace of Shabbat a piece of our hearts, that we might bring a little bit, a little piece, if you will, of Shabbat into the world we are creating. Shabbat Shalom.